So, we're modeling. We're showing them how to have that conversation too. So that's really what we're about, is like reducing those bias and those stigmas to actually engage in that conversation. So we actually have change and help people. Who wants to go first? Who's already picked a card for their deck?
Oh, I did, but then I put them back and then thought we were pulling random. Yeah, I was like, oh, I guess we're just shooting randomly now. Okay.
Oh, I don't know if any of us can look into this.
Ooh, I'll try.
What's the worst thing about being old?
Oh.
No.
Am I the oldest? I'm the oldest, actually.
No, how old are you?
I'm 45.
Oh, I'm 41.
I don't know this
Right? Yes. I'll defer to the senior.
Or you can refer to that.
I'm the older.
Seniority.
Seniority.
Oh my God.
I'm in seniority. You're only a couple years older than me.
Learn how to use your privilege early.
What was the question?
Right, what are we talking
That means
about?
I get AARP early.
That's it.
I get discounts at Denny's. I get discounts
Let
at
me tell ya.
Applebee's.
I mean, we're all older in dog years,
Yeah.
It says, what's the worst thing about being old?
The worst thing about being old is your phone start aging. You have been arthritis. That's the worst part of it. Your back part, and it lets you know you're no longer young anymore. You can't do this, can't do that. Oh my God, it happens in every setting. I mean, every level. I ain't gonna speak on it, but every level.
Every level.
No, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
How about you?
I would say heartburn. I don't know.
Heartburn.
All of a sudden, I'm getting heartburn.
You're like, who?
I'm like, spicy, I'll eat it tomorrow. I can't eat it right now.
So yeah, I mean, it's being at the woo. Oh my God, that's like saying you're almost 90.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Don't take your head. But it's a really it's a journey and experience to be 45. And being 45, I'm able to make sure that, you know what I'm saying, that I can pass the knowledge and education onto those who are not knowing what the narrative is, you know what I'm saying, in our community. And for we to be able to help collaboratively, you know what I'm saying, work in a space where that is being produced, and also fruitful, So it's, being 45, being the oldest out of the whole entire clique right here, but it allows us to become more connected, we often learn from one another. Okay, regardless of the fact that we old or young, you know what I'm saying? So my teachers could be really, really, very different, but a younger person could take them and create and develop more, out of what is given to them from someone who is mature, more mature.
Amaya, do you have a card picked out yet?
I don't. I was just
I want to ask a pointed question, and I. Okay,
Chris reminds me you did not see Katy Perry in concert.
And why are you telling people that?
Because I've seen the Katy Perry movie so many times that I feel like I was there. I mean, I've cried with her.
Well, that's friends who came over afterwards?
It was just me and a friend of mine in the theater when we went to go see her when her movie came out in theaters. Like, we were the only people in the theater. Like, I thought it would be like full of like teenagers.
So basically, it was like a personal.
I told him I was like, this is like our own personal concert, right? Like, it's just us here. I was like, we were dancing, we really loved it. Yeah.
I validate you. Listen, like keep it up because my partner and I we rang in the New Year watching the Justin Bieber concert.
Yeah.
And listen, we were there, like he was looking at me, like I saw it.
Right.
When he did that close up, he might as well have said hi because I was like 100% valid.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, yeah. As I wiped away my tears when Katie was like, geez, I'm so broken. I'm like, geez,
Oh, wow.
Amaya?
Oh God, guys. Okay.
No, I wanted you to answer this question. What lie have you told so much that now you believe it?
Whew. Well, if I was a frequent liar,
First of all, we all lie.
yeah.
To ourselves, to our friends, to our parents, to our jobs, to like to the person at the grocery store.
No,
whatever.
that was probably.
To the takeout person, like, no, I need 2 sets of silverware because there's 2 people eating. It's literally
Whew, this is a good one. This is a really good one. Now I have to really reveal my deepest, darkest. I think a frequent lie that I tell is that. What?
Yeah, I know makeup for real.
No, they are. So it makes it seem like I'm okay, like, and I'm able to take on a lot of tasks and a lot of work. So yeah, I frequently say, yeah, I'm fine, or yeah, I'm okay, and yeah, I'm getting enough sleep, or chilling out enough in order to take on more things in my life. Because I'm afraid of like missing out on opportunities. Yeah, that fear of missing out, and also like fear of maybe disappointing people too, like whenever I say no. So that's probably a big one for me.
Alright, now it's time for you to pull a card.
Okay, alright, I finally got 2.
I want you to direct it to somebody specific.
Alright. Let's go with Anton.
You little.
Okay, so what does someone else have that you envy? And describe the situation and your feelings about it.
Oh wow, that's deep.
Yeah, she called it fundamental.
Oh wow.
What does someone else have that you envy? And describe the situation and your feelings about it.
Well, I eat Donald Trump.
Okay.
And my feelings about that, because I think that if I was president, I could have did a better job of running the country and seeing the key points of what our people need in our whole entire nation. You know what I'm saying? And not destroying relationships, you know what I'm saying, that is being destroyed across with our allies who have been in collaboration with us for over decades, and someone comes along and destroys those type of relationships and ties. And so I just think that's how my feelings about it is part of anger, and also it's like trying to channel that a whole lot better and sooner. If we knew it was coming over in one country, then we could have been ahead of the ball game as soon as it hit the United States, and already had the vaccine, already had these protocols put in place, and our country wouldn't be in social disarray. You know what I'm saying? The crime rate wouldn't have went up. You know what I'm saying? People have been out here trying to survive somehow, some way, because they're getting pushed out because of evictions. That right there don't sit with me. So, I mean, as someone who was a leader and an advocate for the people, I just see it just looks as if they picked the wrong individuals to run our country.
Say that.
Oh, it's very true.
Very that.
No. Screaming that last night.
Yeah.
The R stands for racist.
Say it! Yeah.
Sheila, do you want to pull a card?
Sure.
She was already ready.
I
want you to direct it to somebody now.
Okay. What's something about you that surprises people when they first hear it?
I would say that like calligraphy trauma.
No, literally, it's so heavy. It's fine. I'm unpacking it in therapy.
What is therapy?
BetterHelp.com, y'all. Takes all insurance. So, something that surprises people. I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm not like a super like shocking person because I'm pretty like just here. Maybe Oh, I was actually like super shy before. I don't think I was naturally talkative and charismatic with people, but I became that way when I was younger because I moved so much, and you kind of have that like that new kid feeling. And you get like a couple months of phase where like you're still called new girl or whatever, and like they refuse to use your name kind of thing. I didn't get that opportunity because sometimes I would go places where I only lived there a couple months, and so I didn't have time to like be in my shell and get to like try to wait for people to get to know me. So I just decided like, okay, if I want to have friends, I'm gonna have to just like be outgoing and talk to people. And so I just like became that, and then it just became a part of me. But I definitely don't think it was something that if I didn't have that experience, I would be quite as like open with people, even though I seem very like charismatic with folks. So yeah, kind of a little shy. Yeah.
Cool.
Really?
You're like
Seriously?
coming out of your shell.
No, yeah, literally, quite literally. Hi, Mom. Sorry.
Well, like birds have to crack the shell to get to fly. So.
Oh no, yeah. Listen, I'm cracking it open.
Not open. Oh Lord.
Well, let's take a minute to like introduce ourselves so that our viewers know who's actually talking and what we're doing here today.
Let's start up here at the front.
All right, I'm General Indigenous Z.
You wanna?
Yeah, gotcha. I'm General Indigenous Z of the Revolutionary Black Panther Party.
Yes. What are your pronouns?
He, him, payment remitted to. That.
Oh my God.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Amaya Cook. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm a community organizer with Black Rainbow.
I'm Wes Warner with KC Care. My pronouns are he, him, and his.
Hi, she and they.
I'm A. Samuel with Woody's KC, and my pronouns are anything but respectful. Or if you're just in a crowded room, you yell donuts, I'm gonna turn around.
Okay.
I love it.
What he said, but my pronouns are she. My name's Sheila Gresham. I am a volunteer with Free Hot Soup. And yeah, she hers on my pronouns.
I'm Anton Washington, and I am the Executive Director of Creative Innovative Entrepreneurs, and my pronouns are him, his, and them, you know. And so, if you have some cookies, you know, I'm not good at that, so I mean, you know, you got me there. So I love cookies, so bring some cookies.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite type of cookie?
Oh my God.
Hey,
All cookies, especially if they have peanut butter in them, get them.
About the KC houseless population, and I think starting with like why a transition from homeless to houseless. That's one of the questions I like. Terminology changes, and it's like, why is the terminology changing? Like, what does that mean? Still the same individual. What does that terminology do? So I thought if some people had a reasoning behind that change in terminology.
Homeless to houseless?
I'm going to take a stab at that one.
Yeah.
And it is, I feel like it's a big part of the pronoun movement.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be identified, even with respect to me being a case manager working with individuals with developmental disabilities. We don't call them hard anymore, we call them individuals. It's person-centered. Right? And so with respect to the houseless, homeless thing, these individuals have a home, right? Kansas City is your home, okay? But you don't have shelter. That makes you houseless, right? And so it's not homeless. You have a home. You always have a home because you have a family, you know what I mean, that you're nuclear to, that you're binary to. You come from somewhere, right? And so you're not forgotten. And so if we just focus on where you're at in your social status as far as being shelterless, it's a shelterless, homeless that just says that person doesn't have a home, and it strips them of his or her humanity.
Yeah. I was thinking along the lines of like, this is your home. Like,
Absolutely.
This is where you live.
Absolutely.
This is your home. Like, where I work, we ask people, what's your zip code? That's the number binary way that get attached to where they are. You don't have a house there. That's where you reside, where you're staying, or something along those lines.
There you have
I
it.
completely
Exactly.
agree.
Does anybody else want to pick it up?
I would say, as I frequently go to the camps and all that, and there's certain camps, Reggie used to be my woods, you take a little trail there, you wouldn't know they're there at all. There's a tent, there's a bathroom tent, there's a changing tent. She has the branches that like a fireplace and she hung stockings on it last year. They're home this year. So that's their home. There's camps that I've been to that are more homey than any house. So even though it's not a shelter, it's not a house, that's their home.
Yeah.
It's not a home to them.
So when you talk about camps, like, you know, I think of like my daughter who, you know, is just oblivious to this world, you know, that's going on with like homeless individual or houseless individuals and what that looks like. What does a camp look like for somebody who's never been to a camp? You know, like when you say camp, I picture, you know, like the KOA place, or if you're going out to one of the lakes, or you're camping out by the lake. But I figure it's not like that.
Have you never seen a camp?
I've never seen one or been to one.
Take a road trip afterwards.
I can show you, like right outside of like my affordable luxury apartments, there's like a camp. And so like when I get off on the social media, there's always people there. And like I've gotten to know them so much because even during COVID when we were passing out stuff, I bring stuff. And now, for some reason, like if I get off work and I'll go to McDonald's and I'll be like, oh, I just want a cheeseburger and fries, I'll get two because I know that every time I pull up, there's going to be Daniel or there's going to be Jess, and like I'll just give them a bag and I'm like, thanks.
Can we just give him a round of applause on that?
A lot of these we call camps instead of like this is Judy's place or whatever, because they come together in groups. They take turns going out and getting supplies so none of their stuff gets stolen, so that they can try to fight in the city if there's going to be a sweep or whatever. They really do take care of each other. There's usually one person in the camp that tries to feed everybody, tries to take care of everybody, tries to make sure everybody is doing well.
So like a president or a manager or a boss.
State person.
Yeah.
A stakes person.
Yeah, literally.
You know, it's a stakes person. And just to piggyback one more, effectively Monday, I'm going on the streets of Kansas City to bring awareness to the houseless, the homeless epidemic. You know what I mean? I'm going on the streets and I'm going to these camps. I'm going to these tents. I'm going on the streets. Just that it's one thing that we're here talking about the shelterless initiative, but this place is warm. And tonight we're going to go home to our warm homes. And so they're still going to be trying to figure this out. But there's no way to fix it unless we go directly to the root of the problem, to the people who are living with it every single day. And I'm going to subject myself to that because we're all like one decision, one paycheck away from being that we're closer to that situation than we are to Jeff Bezos. You know what I'm saying? So it's for the people to, it's to bring awareness to this. So these questions like, what is a camp? You're actually going to get to see that. You're going to see how they take one candle that's barely burnt down with barely a wick on it and try to stay warm for 6 hours. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the way that we're going to be able to connect what's missing. What we go to bed and just don't think of when we think of that person that we passed every day, or that man or woman or the family we passed. Absolutely.
I feel like when I think, just to kind of circle back a little bit to the question, I feel like for me, I think we all very much set in our privilege. Like Indigenous said, at the end of the day, we can go home and we have a place to go and we have a warm bed, right? And I think for me, when I use the terminology of houseless versus calling them homeless, on top of that, in addition to just being more respectful, I think it just also helps to break that barrier that we have, because I think when we feel like they don't have a home, we're disconnecting from the fact that they are our neighbors. I think that's something that people forget. Like you said, it's right outside of your home, it's right up the street from us. These folks, they're in our neighborhood. They are a part of our neighborhood. They're people of the city. They are our neighbors. And I feel like the more we use, I think the terminology helps us to elevate our mindset so that we can remind ourselves of the privilege that we hold. But even when we're out doing outreach, at the end of the day, no matter how long we spend out there, we're still going back to our houses. We're still going to go back to somewhere warm, and we're not going to have to be out in the cold like this, and that sucks, and it's not right. And I think we have to continue to break those barriers to remind ourselves of the privilege that we have, so we should never feel like we're doing charity. We're taking care of our neighbors the same way that if one of your, I think
a lot of people that talk about houseless people, they equate them to we're just giving charity, we're just giving and giving. It's number one, you're not just giving, you're taking care of your fellow human, your fellow brother, sister, everything. And I feel like having that mindset and ingraining that into our culture, as opposed to just handouts and giving, because I'm in this position of power and you're below me and like I'm just like giving you all this stuff. It's like, no, like we're all equal, we're all humans, and we all deserve food, we all deserve shelter, we all deserve love, we all deserve compassion. And normalizing that more than you're not a real human, you're just charity. You're not you're not an actual brother, sister, mother, father, cousin, whatever. Like you're just, you know, expendable, poor, charitable. Like, yeah, you're not.
You're a homeless person.
It's very demoralizing to be called a charity case or things like that.
When you have the when you have to change the narrative in the language, you know what I'm saying, that we utilize in our everyday talk with other individuals, that can change that. You know what I'm saying? We have to utilize the different type of vocabulary when it comes to our people that are our neighbors. You know what I'm saying? And the houseless individuals that are out here trying to survive. You know what I'm saying? And whether it's the heat, whether it's the winter, I'm saying these both are deadly seasons. And it's even more deadly when they go hungry. You know, and it makes no sense that we as a community, you know what I'm saying, they overlook these individuals as if they don't matter or they didn't have a home before, or a house before, or any type of belongings that belong to them. Because everything that they can accumulate is theirs. And when people come by and destroy that, this is a connection with their prior possession, it really truly traumatizes them. You know, and the trauma right there happens all over again and it repeats itself. And so in order to break that cycle, we have to, as people who support and they are are out here in these streets, I'm saying, to help these individuals. And like we were out last night, you know, and we see the need of our people, what they needed. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, brother, sister, cousin, auntie, however, it doesn't matter who you are my brother, you are my sister. You know, and that resonates with them. And all they want to do, like Nelly has stated, that sometimes they just might just want to have a conversation. You know, sometimes they might just want to sit down and say, do you have a quarter or 50 cents, or do you have some hand warmers, some gloves, or a hat, or a blanket? You say, when you give yourself to that person, they let the person know that you're connecting. You know what I'm saying, with them. You know what I'm saying, and they're connecting with other people around them in the community. And where they come from, you might not. Some people may not know what it's like, but some people may know what it's like because they resonate with it because they've been there. Being homeless for 2 years, it has allowed me to see that we have not yet, you know what I'm saying, faced the challenges that we are still facing today. You know, and losing individuals like individual houselessness, a houseless individual that was on 50% and prospect, does not sit well with me or anybody sitting here at this table, around the table. Because it's not right. I don't think no one should be able to die alone or die under any circumstances that could have been prevented if we were reacted appropriately. You know, and that's where I'm at with it. You know?
You talked a little bit about the police coming in and people having their belongings, and regardless if it's something that you found in a dumpster or something that was given to you, like it's still your belongings, it's your possession. And I know that in your narrative before, Sheila, you talked about, you know, people staying there and taking care of what people went out just in case nobody would steal their stuff, and the police would come in and do like what you call sweeps. Yeah. Basically, police coming in and taking all your stuff and throwing it back away and kicking you out of your space that you were using as a home at that moment. Yeah. I guess my question would be like, what? And I'm new to this and I don't really know any of like all this, so I'm learning just as well. What exactly? How exactly does that work? Do people call the police to come? Do police just randomly show up at places? And like, what really gives them the right to take another person's property and throw it away and be like, this is taxpayers' money that paid for this fridge and you're living under it, so this is like, how is that not still everyone's property? How did the police be like, no, this is our property, this is the city's property, I own this, take your stuff, I'm going to take your stuff, and you need to disperse to somewhere else?
There's a lot of tricky ways they get to that point. People calling 311, they think they're being helpful, but reporting this camp, they think that they're going to get assistance, but really they just clean it up. And right now... Clean
it up meaning they throw away everyone's stuff and make them leave.
Yeah, sometimes...
Without giving them like any kind of direction.
Sometimes they get a flyer. And that's not enough. No. I sat on the phone for 2 hours.
Is that a big flyer, like lined with fleece and food?
Is that thick?
No, girl, no.
Sometimes it's
really, no.
I hope it's not. It's neon.
Is that now 4 sides and cooling and heating?
There's a list of resources on this flyer, but it doesn't, like, they don't assist you in getting there. A lot of these places are closed. A lot of these places don't have any openings. A lot of these places don't accept you because of your sexual orientation. And there's a whole list of problems. And on top of that, we have nobody is taking responsibility for the sweeps.
Correct.
The police department is saying it's not them. The waste management company can't really tell who hired them. Parks and Rec is like, well, you can't be on a public park with a tent and blah, blah, blah. There's so many different, there's no accountability.
Right side. I mean, because I've been to Sweet Park over here, like on a Sunday afternoon, and there are canopies, there are tents, there are a bunch of things. And so, is it like after like a certain time you can't do it, or like who gets to regulate those?
There's no regulations.
So it's basically like if you look like you're affluent and you have a tent and you're white and you have like a picnic and like you know a charcuterie board, then you can stay. But if you look like you haven't showered, you're a person of color or an older person that maybe seems to have mental deficiencies, then you have to leave. Like immediately. There's no like this park is not for you, even though it's public, even though it's a space for the community. You're clearly not community.
Yeah.
Is that basically like
And see, that's what a disconnect is. You know what I'm saying? When they feel as if the houseless individuals are not community.
Yeah.
They are part of a community. So they write them out. And what me and Indigenous have been talking about, it comes down to the part where they feel if they don't have an address, you don't matter. Period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how they look at the houseless individuals that are out here in this code, you know what I'm saying, and trying to survive. And it's not okay for we have city council members that are paid by taxpayers' dollars. And they are supposed to be the voice of the people. And they're not being that voice. And it takes the people of the city to be that voice for them to actually try to eradicate the opposition of what they're trying to put up against them, what they're not doing. You know, help to hold them accountable. You know, because at the end of the day, as we move forward, you know, every day, we can go home to our nice days. We can go home to warm feet. We can go home to nice meals. Can they do that?
Or we may find ourselves with one of those 7 million people that are applying for unemployment benefits every single week. You understand what I'm saying? And you're not getting that money. You haven't even got your first stimulus, and so you're waiting on these eviction moratoriums. And so, like I said before, we're closer to that stage in life than we are to the Jeff Bezos. It's like, you know, and then it goes into this triage thing, like you were saying. You know, if she just becomes homeless, or anybody around this table becomes homeless, we are able to go to a service like the Salvation Army, and they're going to help us pay our utilities. Well, a person that's been on the streets for a year plus, you know what I mean, they're not going to get prioritized over us because they've been waiting on this money that's been allocated for this specific purpose, right? So the CARES Act money. People that lost employment, you know, didn't get employment insurance, they got that money, but none of this money went to the shelterless individuals. So all of these programs are just overwhelmed. So when you go to these raids and you're giving people recommendations and referrals to warming shelters and all of this type of stuff, that's temporary. These people need addresses. They need a catchment area where you can put them all, surge resources to that area, and put them back on the pathway to citizenship, humanity. You know what I'm saying? Give them an address and give them the resources that they need. Because this is a multifaceted problem, I understand. The media will use, in these raids, they use fear. Do you want your houses broken into? Do you want your kids walking home from school knowing that it's a camp near your neighborhood? They're criminalizing these people, just like they did, you know, with the black community for years and years, right?
It's like Trump did with the Hispanic community.
Do you understand me, right? And so it's this fear-mongering thing, right? And so now, but what if you did understand that person that is shelterless has a PhD? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know that person. You never went back there. Of course, it looks scary, but the predicament they find themselves in is even scarier, right? And so they use fear to propagate these raids, and they're ineffective because you're taking someone's resources that they've amassed. You know what I mean? Their personal resources that they've amassed themselves, and they take pride in that, right? They don't listen. When we went to these camps, no one asked for money. They don't even want your money. They want the same opportunity that somebody gave each and every last one of us sitting around the table. You know what I'm saying? When we went to that job interview, and we knew that if we didn't get this job, we were going to be out there in that shelter with a tarp over our heads, right? Somebody gave us an opportunity. The only thing that these individuals are looking for is an opportunity. That's it.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me. So Anton and I, we were at a cleanup a couple weeks ago near 70th and Paseo. It's near like a bridge, and there's an encampment there. And so, in order for some of these cleanups to happen, you have to have Parks and Rec come and be there in order to guide and assist. And so, what they did was have like a few vehicles there. They were all like glaring like their siren lights, as like a symbol of threat and a symbol of power over these people. And along with that, so we as individuals, a part of Black Rainbow and Creative Innovative Entrepreneurs, are trying to shuffle through their belongings, figure out what was maybe needed, maybe not, like food, toothbrushes, bedding, different sustainable resources. But they kind of they took these vehicles, which were sort of like I don't even know.
Like a dump truck?
Yeah, like a dump truck, yeah, and just completely just went through, bulldozed through, took these as if their belongings, as if it was just trash. And this sort of reinforces the idea that houseless individuals are inhuman and reinforces the dehumanization of them. And they're treated by these officials as if they're nothing and as if their materials are nothing too. And that relates to what you were saying, is that we're existing on this hierarchy of priority. So what city council prioritizes is what's going to get done for the city. And houseless individuals are not on that priority list. If anything, they're perpetually treated as if they are nothing by city council members, which then bleeds into how law enforcement / police officers view them, which reinforces how Parks and Rec members view them.
Media.
And the media,
and general public
filters out this propaganda too. So it's really hard as organizers to shuffle through that and really amplify this message that houseless individuals do deserve more. They do deserve sustainable housing. They do deserve sustainable resources, which is something that right now we're just not seeing in our city government.
I feel that. I'm really glad that you spoke to, especially the fact that, like, if one of us right now were to find ourselves in a situation where we were about to lose our home, we would have an easier time finding resources. And I think that speaks to the circumstantial compassion that we see flowing throughout the city from both city members, like city council members, and just normal citizens. Like if you see two houseless folks there's one person on one corner and another person on the other corner. If somebody's well dressed, if somebody's a little bit more kept, if they had the opportunity to be able to go take a shower that day, who's gonna have somebody stop for them? But if you see someone over here that's maybe coming down from like they have a drug addiction, or maybe they're coming down from something, or they're experiencing an episode, something like that, then they're just going to look at them less than. So even within this compassion that we're seeing, there's still a hierarchy of like, okay, who do I really think that I should invest in? Who's worth investing in? In reality, not being human should be the standard for being worthy of investment. That's it. That's the standard. There's nothing more that should come from that. There shouldn't be any questions about it. We don't need to ask you anything like that. No, it doesn't matter. You need help, and you should get that help. And it's very alarming to see just how much that is prevalent. And as you talk to, I talk with like our house's comrades constantly, and just like hearing different experiences and hearing some people when they're like, oh, I'm going to be able to like eligible for housing and stuff like that, but then I go to a camp that's not as well kept, or that's been swept over and over again. Because mind you, when you go and talk to these folks out here, they keep their spaces clean. Mm-hmm. They do. When you see trash everywhere, it is not from our house's comrades. It's from the city coming in and sweeping them. Mm-hmm. It's from raids. What they do is they come in. If they don't take all of their things, they shovel it all around so that it appears that they're not keeping their spaces well kept. And so then it does further to shift that narrative. Like, you see, they're not worthy of help. Like, they're not even trying to keep it clean. And they use those tactics to try and dehumanize them and to justify not providing assistance for them. And it's really disgusting. And just, I really hope, something that resonated with me heavily last night, my partner and I were out at like 1 a.m. We went to go visit one of our comrades under a bridge. And something that really hit is they were talking about Scott, who passed away. And they said, you didn't pass out, he was killed. Right, yeah. Exactly. Let me change that narrative. Period. He was killed because he did not have to die. His death was totally not necessary. That didn't have to happen. But the thing that struck me was that this person was telling me, that they that they suffered from a drug addiction at one point, and that they had been known to have some episodes. My question is that how many people passed him while he was having an episode? Mm-hmm. How many people saw him maybe having a freak out, struggling really hard, and kept walking by? But then he dies, and suddenly city council is like, oh, we care, we want to bring proposals. The fact is, someone shouldn't have to give their life for them to be worthy of your compassion and love. That's so sad. That's not okay. How many? And at the end of the day, I'm glad that the news is bringing attention to the 2 folks that passed away. But I know one person personally that passed away that didn't get a news story. A couple weeks before this happened, that passed away from a cold. From hypothermia. They didn't get a hashtag, they didn't get a news story, none of that. And this friend that I was talking to was saying, I could name 13 folks that have died out here that no one's talked about this winter.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's because they are choosing to skip over it. Had folks not happened to be there and catch it, they wouldn't have been talked about. We wouldn't know their name. Folks wouldn't be sharing information about this happening. But even with that, it's just, we shouldn't have to show you shocking things for you to think that people deserve help. I shouldn't have to be like, see, they're in such a huge crisis that they need help right now. It doesn't matter. They're either waiting until they're passing away, or it's like their trauma and their experience isn't glamorous enough. It's not newsworthy. And so then they don't get resources because it's not gonna pull at heartstrings enough, and so we can't use that story, or we can't actually provide resources for them because there's people that are struggling in a different way. They're waiting for these stories to headline it, to get attention. And at the end of the day, regardless of what somebody looks like, regardless of what they're going through or how deep into this situation that they are, whether they've been out on the street for 4 years or 10 years or for 4 months or for 2 days, there are folks out here that are newly houseless, that are literally today are going to be houseless from these evictions. And it shouldn't matter what part of their situation that they're in for them to get help. And so I think that we have to, as individuals, something that we have to do is be more attentive to the folks around us and check in on our people, man. We need to, and we also need to not wait for them to be houseless for them to help. Because at some point, all of those folks that are out on the street, at some point, when they were in a different circumstance, they were asking for help. They were looking for resources. They were turning to people to get a job opportunity, to find a better housing, to get some income so that they could stimulate their lives. All of them at one point were in a situation where they could have avoided being on the streets, and people didn't take notice. And so not only do we need to work hard to get our folks off the street, but we need to start paying attention to our low-income neighborhoods and making sure that folks stay in their homes. It's that simple.
Indeed.
How as organizations and beautiful humans at this table come together, how would you propose that someone like myself and the adults would go about trying to make an impact or help, or doing those things where maybe we are, like you said, a couple steps away from maybe being homeless, paycheck away from doing that, where we can't donate monetarily, or we don't have a whole lot of time to leave our job or our families to go and volunteer and do these things. I know social media is a huge platform, having shows like this, voicing it and having conversations with our friends in public and things like that, but what other areas would you suggest that people can get started to help?
So I first want to give recognition and thanks for you all inviting this conversation to this table and on your platform, because like you said, this is where it starts. You know what I mean? We're in the information age, and so we can disseminate this a lot easier, with this platform than we could doing flyers or things like that. What can anyone do? You can get with any of these wonderful organizations who are regularly paying attention to these types of things. And even if you don't want to be front line, you could ask, where are these camps located? What do they need in that particular camp? And then you can go and purchase the items and take the items down there and introduce yourself to the individuals that are down there, right?
Or what I've done, recently I've had a couple of family members in the past couple of weeks pass away from COVID. And my aunt, who is amazing, who I'm going to see this week, her husband passed away 2 Sundays ago. But in talking and, my dad passed away last year, so it's been a process this whole year to pack up his home and stuff. But I came across a bunch of clothing and shoes and things, and it took me months to get rid of. But talking to my aunt, I'm going to see her this Friday. She's like, I do have a bunch of your uncle's coats and boots and scarves and hats, and I was like, if you feel comfortable, could you box them up and bring them to me? I know spaces that could take them and things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's not only going out and having to buy stuff, but even talking to your friends and the boys and girls here, I know have spring cleaning tons of clothes. I'm bring some of that stuff. You're not wearing it. There's multiple people that could do it. So I love that, but sorry, keep going.
Oh, no, absolutely. That was wonderful. Put on the clothing drive. You know what I mean? Yeah. Get your friends together, take up a corner and say, hey, look, today we're taking as many coats as we can, as many boots, whatever that we can. And then, I'm going to defer to this wonderful young lady. I did meet her at Washington Park, and I do know that Free House Group has been doing a lot of work, and they're no stranger to the camps around here. So I'm going to defer to the professional at the table, the person with the answer.
Well, I did some research today. There are 26 shelters and organizations in Kansas City.
There we go.
So there's more than enough places to go. I can share these, type it up, whatever. But also, Free Hot Soup, we do have like the city mapped out. If you go to our Facebook page, we have colored zones, so we have drop-off points in every zone, so close to you.
It's KC Free Hot Soups.
Yep.
Facebook page.
Yes.
Okay.
And then there's also Independence, there's Johnson County, there's, it's spread love all over the area. We have Amazon wish lists and all that stuff. But more than that, I feel like more people need to be holding our elected officials accountable.
There we go.
There's things that have been passed. Somebody from Free Hot Soup is a group of 9,000 members. Not one person can represent the whole group because we're not a nonprofit, we're not a 501c, we don't have an organized board. It's just a grassroots community of people who want to do things for other people, who go out and make friends and see somebody in need and say, hey, what can I do to help you? Sometimes it's a cup of soup, sometimes it is a tent, sometimes it's a ride to go get their ID and birth certificate. That's just kind of what Free Hot Soup is. But there is a member who actually is very involved on the political side of stuff. And she said there's a resolution number 110302. And it is the Greater Kansas City Housing Sustainability. They came up with a plan. They did not allocate the money yet. They're just sitting on it. It's the coldest months of the year, and you're just sitting on this money and letting people die unnecessarily. Like the second person who passed away that made the news, he hasn't been identified yet because his face was eaten by an animal. It shouldn't take that shock and awe to get Kansas City mad. You need to just stand up, reach out to the mayor, reach out to your elected officials, just quit allowing it to happen. If we take a stand, I feel like it'll stop. But yeah, that's pretty much.
I think that and we have spoke about this previously in the chat. Unification, it needs to come. We are stronger together. You know what I'm saying? And we move towards these officials in a more collaborative way for those who has the compassion to help bring change into our communities and broader across our whole entire city. It should not just be one person that's taking the whole entire no. It takes a collective of people, you know what I'm saying, to see the need, you know what I'm saying, in our city. And when you are utilizing the narrative of profitable people, you lose your humanity. I mean, where's the honor in that? You know what I'm saying? You lose your integrity. I mean, everything that you talk about, you know what I'm saying, on the news or to people is moot to anybody. Because it's like, it's like you're saying this, then you're going to do this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so you're contradicting your ways, you know what I'm saying, and allowing people to see that I mean, it's confusing. I mean, how can I follow you when you're not holding to your word, you know? Yeah. And so it does cause that sense of disconnect and disarray in an individual. And am I angry? And so is Sheila, so is Amaya, so is Dixon, so is Kai, and everybody else that's around this table. You know what I'm saying, that is obsessed because how do this get so far out in front of us? You know what I'm saying, that this was not caught because individual has passed away. You know what I'm saying, it was killed due to hypothermia, or due to hunger, or however, on whatever level. You know what I'm saying, there's circumstances. You know what I'm saying, everybody has a story, everybody, and if you can just ask, how can we help you? You know what I'm saying, and versus as to why should I help you? You know. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to do this. So just get a job. Right. Lazy.
And so one of the individuals that was a police officer, a houseless individual that I know, his name is Nate, and he said a police officer told me he needs to leave the area. You know what I'm saying? And one of the camps, he was just uprooted, or you know what I'm saying, on his own, he needs to leave the area. And he said he has no. He said I don't have nowhere to go. He said so we're gonna. He says well I don't have anything for you or whatever. You need to go find a job. And he asked can you help me find a job? Literally can you basically open up that line of communication to help me get there? That's all they want. If you can formalize that some proper type of support, you know, I guarantee you saying to show that type of compassion towards it will go a whole lot further than you saying you need to leave this area. But this is their livelihood. This is what they know right now. It doesn't mean that it can't change. And they feel that it's not going to change with them. But there are people out here that want it to change. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, what are you trying to do to help bring the transformation to the table? So
yeah, it's very. What is that thing that you say give a man a pizza or teach a man to pizza or what? Wait, is it
teach a man to give a man a fish. Give a man a fish and he can eat for a day. Teach a man a fish and he eat for life.
Give a man some pizza or teach him how to order. I don't know. Then he can do it for the rest of his life. Yeah. Is it donut? I don't know. Cookies.
Pizza trees.
Yeah.
Pizza trees.
Teach him how to bake cookies. I don't know.
Chocolate chip and don't make me some cookies.
Well, I think touching back on what Sheila talked about, where people think that they are helping by calling 311.
Mm-hmm.
They think that the people are getting services. So that's somebody who wants to do some good, thinks that they're doing good, but they're actually really harming those individuals. And so I think that awareness of letting people know 311 isn't working.
Can I Uber you to this place that offers Hope Faith?
Yeah.
You can use that as an address. They'll help you get your ID and your birth certificate, and then you can get a job. That's maybe all they need is that one ride to go get this done.
And it will change their life.
To change their life, yeah.
Some people, just a never-ending cycle. You keep taking away what they need. That's their priority, is being in warmth. If they have to every day worry about that, then they're not worrying about a job. They're not worrying about an apartment or housing or any of that.
It falls also like Maslow's hierarchy.
There it is.
You can't move past your basic needs are not met. You're always stuck in that cycle.
And some people feel that it's not my problem. But guess what? Yes, it is. Okay. Okay. Because exactly. If we're Kansas City, we take care of our own. And it's a greater Kansas City. If that's what we're going to be, let's be that greater Kansas City. And I cannot stand when people say we're the greater Kansas City. So are we? How can we be that and this to our people?
Yeah, I thought about this last night. I was like, how incredible would it be if we didn't have any homeless or houseless population because we provided services to take them out of that situation?
There you have it.
Like, how incredible would be the heart of America? We would show people how to do that.
Honestly, aren't there what is that? Nordic or Danish countries that literally
they don't have Netherlands. They don't have
it's very because their city council and the community have band together to make sure that they're getting fed and getting housed and getting jobs. So it's so interesting that we're sitting here talking and having this conversation and wanting to talk to our city officials, and it's I feel some of the labors I feel in the past year that I've done and a lot of people have done, especially during 2020, is why are we fucking reinventing the fucking wheel when other countries already
done the work
and they're going 80 miles an hour and we're over here trying to fucking carve the wheel out. I'm like,
I can order it on Amazon.
The blueprints are right here. The blueprints are literally right here. Why are we not doing this? Here, we'll just rip this page out. Let's just do this.
Absolutely.
But there are people in our country that are making us oh, this is cool, but this isn't right. Let's start over. Why did you just rip that up? It's perfect. It's working perfectly.
And we can't act like we don't know how to do that here in Kansas City because our city is just built. You know what I'm saying? And it was just built because we learned from other cities in their development of their city. This is the reason why the Kansas City Power and Light and One Light and Two Light is going up like that. This is the reason why Truce and streets like Truce and Paseo and Prospect are starting to look a lot like the west side of Truce. And so my thing is, if you have this, we live in the richest, most powerful nation on earth, right? And we live in one of the countries on the planet
that doesn't mean that we're the smartest.
That doesn't mean we're smart. But my point is, we live in a country where people die because we overeat, right? But we have people on the streets that are going hungry. That just doesn't make sense to me, right? We also have all of these foreign land developers coming into the Kansas City area, buying up schools, buying up land, and making it so that, even people that are employed like us, we can't afford those. You know what I'm saying? They're turning them into loss. And so you can turn those into communities where people can go and get their addresses, get their shelter, get their basic human needs met. Put the pause on the development and develop something for the residents that you already have here, as opposed to bringing in newcomers to the city who see our problems. You know what I'm saying? Fix this stuff. You got the Department of Agriculture coming. You got Sterner coming. You got the 2024 soccer or whatever coming here. You have got to fix this city. And it ain't just for looks and, oh, look at us. No, you have got to fix the city for everybody in it.
Yeah, and permanent fixes.
Permanent,
Yeah,
not temporary.
Let's actually solve it.
Yeah, don't make them come back to you.
That's
Yeah.
the permanent stuff, because at the end of the day, like all of us sitting at this table, I know we do personal outreach and stuff, but at the end of the day, we don't want to be going out and handing out blankets. We don't want to be going out and giving like a meal for the night. We want people to be in houses. I want to be able to come visit them and say, how's it going? Do you need anything today?
Yeah.
To keep you in your home.
And then
That's
you'd
what
be
I
like,
want
no,
to be
actually,
helping
do you
with.
want something to drink? Do you want something to eat?
Period.
You know what I mean? Invite me in.
It's like,
Do you want to
have
have
a conversation and talk about like moving forward in our life and not like the things that are holding
You
you
hear
back.
me?
Exactly, and we
Absolutely.
need to have a collective mindset. I think that a big part of the problem is that we still have this state of mind of individualism that we hold so dear. We're taught and we're raised to hold so dearly to our possessions and be like, this is mine, this is my space, this is what I want. And that's how you get people that see houseless camps and are like, oh, we need to get that out of there, because they have a sense of pride with their neighborhood. They feel like, this is my space, this is my place, I need it to look a certain way, it needs to be a certain way. Well, that's theirs. Well, if you really want to go there, that's their space. If that's how you want to be. But at the end of the day, we need to be more collective in our minds, because we need to understand that everything that we have is not ours. Everything that we're using, everything that we're doing, everything that we think we hold so dearly to our hearts, it's borrowed. Everything that we use here is borrowed. Because if I don't get my car payment done, guess what? It's not really mine. I'm borrowing it. Because if I miss a couple payments, they gonna come collect that real quick.
Right.
If I miss my rent,
tax,
exactly.
They take your car. Yeah,
They take my car. If I miss my rent payment, guess what? I don't have. Like, so at the end of the day, all of this stuff, we need to stop thinking that it's ours and we own this and so we need to like have other people do better in their lives. Well, you know what? Everyone's doing the best that they can, and if we all like stripped away our pride, we could do so much more for people around us. If we were willing to strip away our pride of the things that we think we need to have. Because at the end of the day, there's no excuse for us to have more than what we need, while other folks have literally nothing. There's no goddamn excuse. There's no excuse for our city manager to have a new $200,000 car. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. I mean, like, if we're gonna say it, let's just say it. There's no excuse for it. There's no excuse for our city leaders to all be living in luxury apartment homes while folks are literally dying a block away from your house.
There we
That's
go.
crazy.
Oh, but
That's
they
wild.
labeled it affordable.
Oh yeah, no, it's affordable. Oh yeah, it's affordable.
If you have a
Like,
Affordable luxury living.
living.
like, honestly, if we're being real, I only recently got into politics, like at the beginning of the summer last year. I wasn't super into politics, and I started getting into it and trying to understand more. Truthfully, I don't really care about any of it, if I can be honest, because at the end of the day, you can pass an ordinance. I want ordinances to pass. I want there to be actual solid changes in our legislation. But you know what I would really love to see? I'd love to see Mayor Lucas get out of his car, and I'd love to see him handing out blankets. I'd love to see you go inside of your house and sell the TV the third TV in your house that you don't need, so that you can feed some people tonight.
Not only that,
That's what I want to see. At the end of the day, you don't
I
have
want
to
to
use
see
your power.
him get out
Use your
here with
individual
business.
power.
Go ahead.
On the week on Monday, get out here on the week of Monday for a whole 7 days and show the people, you know, say that you can do this, and you know what it feels like when you come out of it.
Hey, but hold up, but he used to
He
be
was
homeless.
homeless.
Do you understand it?
I know, I understand that.
Is
but
that the
get out
camera?
here-
Man.
It's like if he knew this, then I guess he need a recap.
He
Need a
got
recap.
elected based on the fact that he shared he was once homeless and he understands and he wants to get people off the
The
street.
first 100 days he was
That's
in
my
office.
ventriloquist.
The first 100 days that he was in office, and he knew that he used it as a platform to become elected.
Come on.
However, what he should have done was is approach this initiative a whole lot more in a better way before this happened.
From a personal standpoint. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? He is attached to this. You know what I'm saying? He is a son of the city. He grew up with a single mom.
Say it.
You know what I'm saying? And he was on the
Mhm.
streets. And so these people that are here, and I've told people this when we're talking about like the violence in our city, right? I told people this: if we live long enough, we will find out that we are relatives, right? Quentin is from this city, right? Scott could have been his cousin. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So he knows the problem. So when he gets in that office and he comes to us and he says, "Come to me and let me know what the problems is," dude, that is a slap in the face. Did you forget what the problems was when you got installed in that position? Or what is it? You know what I mean? It's not cognitive dissonance. And we all understand the next steps in the psychological progression. We got taxpayers that are demanding change, right? The next step in the psychological progression when you don't meet that need is unrest. It happens whenever the needs of the people are not met, the taxpayers. But now we got to go into the next psychological progression for the shelterless individuals. They are telling you that I'm dying because I'm not warm. I'm dying because I have no water. I'm dying because I have no food. The next step in a psychological progression is you knock somebody against their damn head and you take it. Period. You know what I'm saying? So you're creating criminals. Just like you created criminals when you redlined communities. When you totally divested communities where there's no wealth, there is criminal activity. Period. And so when you don't give these people the resources that they need to prove that they are productive citizens, then you create something else more sinister. Period.
It's kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, you know, people won't go to those camps or won't engage with a homeless person or a houseless person because they're afraid of that person, because they don't want to engage with that person.
Which is the fear that they built into them.
Correct.
They separate themselves because of what they created.
Whether it's on social media, whether it's the media that's doing it themselves, and it's kind of crazy how people will say, "Oh, these people are dangerous." We all hear with them all the time. How they dangerous?
I'd be like,
How they dangerous?
I'm your friend, but if I was starving and I hadn't eaten in a few days and I was tired as fuck and I couldn't
Say
sleep,
that.
I'd be dangerous as fuck.
Say that.
Trust
You
me.
would talk about people
Trust
being
me.
dangerous.
They do it all
What
the time in
would you
Snicker
do?
commercials. Dude, go get a Snicker. You feel me?
Come on, baby.
My thing is for people who are talking about like criminal activity that's going on within the houseless community, my question for all y'all, how many meals would you have to miss before you said enough was enough, before you were stealing from the store? How many days without water would you have to go before you decided, you know what, screw this, yes I am gonna break this hydrant and drink some water? How many days would it take for you to have absolutely nothing before you were like, look, civility rules that went out the window when the food that I had 3 days ago did. That's the tea.
There we go.
Like, and that's just the tea of it. And that we know that this is the direct reason for criminal activity because we see it. We've seen it. Go to Leawood.
Yeah.
Guess what? You see you go over to Leawood and you see that a little bit. There's hardly any crimes being committed. You know why? Guess what? Everybody's housed. Everybody's fed. Everybody's drinking water.
And well
everybody's
educated.
working. And guess what you don't
And
see?
they got healthcare.
Period.
But I mean, like helpless criminals are not like robbing these like criminals are not robbing and stealing or whatever to like go get their hair done or their nails or like go see a movie or like
Just to survive.
They're doing it to eat some fucking food.
There we go.
Like they're doing it to buy products, to toothbrushes, tampons, things like necessities that they need. So find a place with hot water. Like they're not doing it to like. I want this cashmere sweater, so I'm just gonna like rob them. Oh wait, and I'll get a burger on the way.
You want to put a houseless person's face up on the screen because they stole in here. Did Samantha, who got diversion because she stole a new ring because she wanted to have something cute to wear to her party Saturday night where they weren't going to wear masks? Is her face going to be up on there? Didn't think so. So we need to stop with this stigma. The fact is that it exists.
We see you, Samantha.
We see you, Samantha. We see you, Samantha. And you need to put your mask on and go home. Because you work with me over at Home Depot and we're not getting COVID from you.
Take the bracelet off and put it back where you got it. It's not yours.
It's not yours. Period.
I think this is a really because it goes deeper than that. You know, what I'm saying, deeper than all of this. You know what I'm saying, and it has to go to the origin. You know what I'm saying, as we know that we have a boss of a city. His name is Mayor Lucas. Okay, and when you implement and saying to someone as $7 million, you know what I'm saying, we took $7 million. Where is it? I don't see no establishment or no property being developed for the houses. I'm saying, where you utilize this money for?
It's somewhere.
Okay. I mean, it's not in my pocket. It's not.
Samantha,
where is it?
I was trying to say. I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, if you can get on national television and say that you have $7 million and we put $7 million towards, you know what I'm saying, the houseless initiatives, you know what I'm saying, they need to be uprooted, then what's that useful line? Where is it at? You know what I'm saying? And if you don't see it, then why are you saying these things?
But in the summer, I mean, what for KCDC? Where's the money?
Where's the money?
Where's the money? But you said it's there.
I mean, deal or no deal. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
It's for community. Like, where is it?
Yeah.
I mean, because people ride around in a nice Range Rover. Is that what he's riding around in these days? You know what I'm saying? He's riding around in a nice Range Rover and say, okay, then what are the people of our city riding around in? The houseless individuals. absolutely nothing because you're not doing nothing.
Well, no, they kicked them off the free transport.
Police cars, they're
Say that.
Yes, didn't they? They
that.
sure did. Sheila?
They're also effectively, I don't know how to word this, but there's the homeless count. I don't know if you guys know about that.
Yeah,
They do
sure.
every year, but they're by sweeping people that makes them more likely to go deeper into hiding and not participate in these questionnaires and the homeless count. So then the elected officials look better because it looks like they got rid of homelessness. It looks like they did something when they didn't, and that affects federal funding.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So then you're just hurting us even more because you're hurting our funding, but you're trying to make your political career look better.
Because they're saying that their ego is more important than people actually having
Their
what they
access
need.
to power is more
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
And Jimi Hendrix said it the best. He said, "When the power of love takes over the love of power, then humanity will change." Right. And what I would say to Mayor Lucas is that we see when money is used from the city, we know what it looks like. You know what I mean? So when you tell somebody you spent $7 million somewhere, we should be able to see that. You know what I'm saying? And not have to dig too deep.
Publicize it.
You know what I'm saying? When you publicize it, we should be able to see it.
Come on.
It wasn't that hard for him to go to the governor and say we need 200 federal agents in Kansas City to solve our criminal activity issues, right? It didn't take him anything to push a button and get 5 to 6 different local law enforcement agencies in the plaza beating up on teens. You understand what I'm saying? So if you can push a button,
shooting.
yeah, thank you. If you could push a button and get this many resources in here, you push a button to save lives. You push a button to be proactive. You don't push a button just when you need to be reactive, and then you want to show or flex your power because you are a hypocrite. You are a dictator. You know what I mean? That government for the people, by the people, of the people shall not perish from this earth.
Come on now.
Honestly, like, we can ask people all day like what they would do in this situation of houselessness. But as we can see from our mayor, even when we do ask those questions, it's still profit over people.
Come on now.
It's still prioritizing what city council, what VOPC wants over the people.
Come on.
And so, along with that, it's not just a matter of asking our representatives what they want, not just asking our community organizers what is needed, but they're going directly to houseless folks and asking them what is it that could help your life be better? What is it that you need in your life?
Indeed.
Rather than taking all of these different avenues. And secondly, it's important, I think Anton was saying earlier, it's important to unify these groups as well because we have so many different folks saying, this is what's best, a tent city is best, relocation is best into a sustainable house, maybe even like co-housing with different people who are already owning homes. But what is it that houseless folks are actually needing? What is it that they're actually wanting in their lives, and how can we provide that for them? Right?
And that's why we have to. I mean, to censor them, that's what we must do. Period. I mean, that's at our cost. I mean, it's not if they have a like Nella said this morning, they are not voiceless. Period. Okay, so they have a voice. They have an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? They can just like everybody else has an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you know, let's see what they need. Let's see what they want. Okay, because we can't just automatically think of okay. I'm gonna assume what you need, and take the envelope and then go with it. You cannot do that, and that's what the city is doing. Whatever proposal, whatever they try to make it work, you cannot just make a proposal and just say, okay, and it is not implement what they need for real, because you ain't been out here. The people, you need to work with the people that has been closer to the problem. You know what I'm saying? And so when you work with people like that, it makes it more kind of event where you can draft a proposal that will address the concerns and the issues, the challenges that we're facing in Kansas City today.
It just seems, I don't know, it just seems very like sleeping with the enemy, where it's like, you know, our government officials and the local like police departments and cities are that abusive boyfriend, and that the houseless population is like that girlfriend. And I feel like it's up to like the citizens and the constituents of the city to be that liaison, to be like, get up, girl. Like we're gonna take you to my cousin's house, and we're gonna like not talk to that man. I'm gonna have my cousins come over and beat the fuck out of them.
I like it.
You got something to say? Tell me what they did to you. Tell me what you need. And it's just, it's so weird that like that's the government, that's the houseless, and like we're all stuck in the middle, being like, girl, get up, it's good. I love you, don't cry, he ain't gonna hurt you, I got you. When it should be the abusive boyfriend fucking changing your ways.
Yeah.
You know, using your power and your demonstration to heal and to help and not sit on this platform or have that authoritative figure or that narrative where like everyone's beneath you.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I'm gonna back this up a little bit. Okay, at the beginning, like probably around like September. I think it was September we started the initiative for the liquor drive,
Yeah,
for the college or whatever. Okay, and so every year, you know what I'm saying, for the last 4 years, creative innovative entrepreneurs have been doing clothing drives, and so because we already know what's during the winter weather. And other organizations do the same thing. But the thing about it is, what happened to a city that used to do the same thing? They used to host these drives just because they know what's coming. That's because the political positions of power has changed. The shifting has changed. And by changing like that, then they're for themselves. And it makes no sense that that a city that knows that they should be held accountable to be hosting these type of clothing drives, food drives, you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature all around the city. And getting people involved. That's how you stay connected with each other.
They brought people out to vote, didn't they?
Didn't they?
Yeah.
They found a way for people to get to them polls during the pandemic, didn't they? You can find these people, you can galvanize them, and each one of these council members needs to go into their respective districts, and they need to put people out on the street, work with people like, you know, any of the organizations that are sitting here that are mentioned in the information that will be disseminated later for these city officials. You need to get with these organizations, these leaders, these activists, and you need to understand who is in that catchment area. And so that you can go there and you can effectively talk to your constituents. Because we're talking that, you know, these people are a part of our community, and they are. And so that they need the full reciprocity of that, the full weight of that. You need to go and talk to them. And so, like, you know, like everybody is saying, they don't need us sitting here advocating for them because we're going to be warm at night, right? There is an elder statesperson. There are educated people out here that can speak for their collective, right? We did this occupation, the People City, down at City Hall. Yeah. And so we took on the Houseless initiative where we were giving out tent sleeping bags. And so we know how effective this can be. And the City Hall would have just looked out their back window, Mayor Lucas, if you would have just looked out your back window, you could see how this program works. And now we did it on a micro scale. All you need to do is scale it, and it works. We showed you what could happen on your property.
Because we have like last night, and I know I'm pretty sure that we have two encountered them too, as well as Black Rainbow. And so we were out we out in these frigid weather. You know, not only that, but we have came in contact with individuals at the age limit of 18. 18 years of age. This is our generation that will leave our country one day. And so we step back, and I'm at home like thinking, who's going to leave our country? Because at the end of the day, if we're not helping individuals find the type of resources when they become homeless, through the houselessness or whatever, that means that we're failing. We fail. He's 18. I have someone with me that I allowed with me. You know, he's been there for a week and a day. His name is D'Angelo Burton. He's been houseless for a whole year until I allowed him to move out, and he's moving to his first apartment come Monday next week.
Good job.
It takes a heart of somebody who knows and been there. It takes a heart of individual that has compassion, you know what I'm saying, and the drive, you know what I'm saying, to be able to help eradicate that. You know what I'm saying, and a person that is 19 years old. Because when you implement a change in someone's on a direct path where you're going like this, but you know God wants you to go this way. You know what I'm saying? And he sees you on a path, and he sees he leads you to a person that needs it. Because I was driving down the highway, you know what I'm saying? I said, who the heck is driving? Who's walking down the highway? And so I seen a face of the black young man in Canada. I don't know if he was young or not, but when I hit the next exit, came back around, and I pulled his window down, and I said, you need a ride? And he looked at me and said, yeah, can you give me a ride? I don't know where to go. I got no place to lay my head. And I'm like, oh my God, this is, and so I said, how old are you, son? He said, I'm 19. I said, I put my car in park, I said, get in. So I don't care what car I will stop. That's a future that we have to, actually really imply to their city. Our government that is supposed to be overseeing us, and they're not doing a very good damn job of it, period. They're not at all. It just breaks my heart to see Josh, you know what I'm saying, that we seen last night. I broke in tears when he told me his age. 24, a young man, his name was 24 years old. 23? Yep. 23 years old.
He could be the next brain surgeon. He could be the next senator. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what causes our local government to become so disconnected with its people that it treats its own people, you know what I'm saying, as if they don't even matter no more?
I think Amaya hit it on the head there when she said you got to go and talk to them. You know, like we can come up with 1,000 ideas of what to do, but if we don't know what they need and what they say helps them, then everything that we're doing is just spreading it out. Like it's not helping at all. Like they're pushing those services away, or maybe they don't want to engage with that shelter, or maybe they like living in a tent city. You know, it's like, then we should empower that. You know, there's no reason why they have to live by our standards. Like it's how they choose to live.
Come on, because our standards are not their standards. Okay, and that is one of the things that I think that the city is trying to push. I'm saying, because you have to live like this in order to do this, in order to get this, or whatever. And that doesn't sit well with me. They can live how they want to live. This is their livelihood. Get out there and know how it feels to get out there. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Miss Brandon Shaw. Okay, Eric Bunch. Okay, Brandon Ellison. You say, okay, let's get out there. Let's get out there and let's see you do it. Okay, and see, get the feeling of how it feels for the houseless individuals are going, what they're going to feel, what they're going through. Because at the end of the day, I know what it feels like. Okay, I didn't get here overnight. Okay, I had somebody help me along the way. You know, and when I'm at today, that's the reason why I'm so passionate about getting this, and seeing this through, because they need a place to lay their head. We need to say that tonight. It ain't we don't wait 2 weeks to clinical. You don't wait for a proposal to be made. That's too long to clinical. Somebody else's life to be claimed.
Yeah.
And it will be on the heads of the city hall councilmen, as well as the mayor Lucas. We did a protest out in front of his house. Okay? Do you think one morning Karen, when he said anything, he'll come out. Scott Icky died 2-3 blocks from Mayor Lucas's house. Okay? He died. Come on now. You didn't come outside and Karen on something, get the news crew together, you know what I'm saying? Karen on said this is not something with me at all. We will address this. You did not come out saying anything. It took the people to do this.
Maybe he was busy counting that $7 million.
$7 million. Hello, Mayor Lucas.
I feel like something important, like for me, when I think about the work that I expect from our city leaders, is I just want to make something super clear. If you do make a change, if you do decide that this is worthy of your time now, we're not handing out gold stars and cookies if you start to solve this problem. Because at the end of the day, you've all had your positions for years, or almost years at this point, and you've seen it. And so it doesn't, everything that you do at this point is playing catch up to you doing the job that we expected from you 10 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago. So this isn't, we're not going to give you cookies when you do better. I just want to say that. That's first off, because, and I think the thing that's so gross is that, so I'm studying to be a health coach right now, and I'm finishing up my certification, and something that we preach to folks whenever they're like going on a new diet or whatever is don't tell anyone. Don't tell. You know how normally when you're excited to go on a diet, you're like, oh my God, I want to tell people. People think we should tell other people to hold yourself accountable. But the reason we tell people not to tell anyone when you're going for it, or not to like boast about it and try to like make it a big deal, is because that satisfaction that you get from telling people that you're about to make that change can sometimes give you a dopamine rush that makes you feel like you don't have to do the work anymore. It takes away your drive and your need to do that work because you feel fulfilled already from telling people. And I feel like I see very similar parallels with a lot of our city leaders when they start to work on things, or when they have proposals that are really just ideas, right? Or when they're starting to work on initiatives, they want to tell people and spread about it. And then I feel like it's sort of a similar situation, that they feel so satisfied from telling everyone and getting the praise for coming up with something that's already been thought about a billion times, that they don't do the work anymore. And so I think that something that's important is, Mayor Lucas, like Brandon Parkshaw, all y'all, here's the tea. You don't have to tell me what you're about to do. Because I'm going to see. You know how I'm going to know? Because when I go see my friends over on I-70, guess where they're going to be in a house? You're not going to have to tell me that you did the work, because I'm going to see it. Because I'm going to know it. You don't have to boast about it. You don't have to get on here and say, we're working on this and we're doing on that. No, just work on it. Just do it. Just do better. It's really that simple. And I think that that's an important thing to do, because I see too often when we see proposals being made and we see like council members talking about things, I even see it from citizens. They're like, oh yeah, you go, like they're doing it. You see what they're working on, you see that they're doing that, and they feed on that. They feed on that satisfaction and that gratitude. And then we see months later, after a proposal was made, guess what we don't have? Or we get $7 million, guess where it hasn't been spent? And so I think that happens way too often. And so something to note is that like when our city officials do their job. And I say when because it is a when, because if you're not going to do it, you're not going to have a position next election. It's just that simple. So I do mean when. When they do the right thing, we're not handing out gold stars. You know what you say? Thank you for doing your job. I appreciate it. Let's not take 10 months next time.
We trust the election process now. You know what I mean? Like, we elected you to do this.
Yeah.
Thanks for catching up.
Maybe next time you don't have to spend $2 million on a voting initiative because we'll actually believe you're going to do what you say and we'll vote anyway.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, I want to thank Kay and Sheila and Anton, Indigenous, and Amaya for being here, and Ace for being here, being a part of this conversation, and helping to educate viewers and educate us over what we can do and next steps that can be taken, and today, like what you can do today. So we'll give you like last shout outs, to plug your organizations and what y'all are working on. Yeah, we'll start with Indigenous and work our way through.
All right, Indigenous, commander of the Revolutionary Black Panther Party, Kansas City chapter.
Is there any social media websites, anything that they could do? Or
yeah, absolutely. Go follow us on Instagram at KC Black Panther Party. You could also send any donations to $ Indigenous Smith. So when I'm out and I do the 7 days, Indigenous goes homeless for 7 days. Whenever I find the camp, I'm going to ask them, the individuals there, what they need. And so effectively, you can help myself and my friends, our friends, get the resources that they need through your charitable donations, or you can bring the resources out yourself. Thank you.
It almost sounds like the Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, that's it. Les Stroud, Survivor Man.
Maya again with Black Rainbow. I'm a community organizer. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Black Rainbow. We also have a Cash App. I believe it's also Black Rainbow, but you can find our donation link in our bio as well.
hi, my name's Kai, again with White Rose KC. You can follow us on Facebook. We also have a Cash App. It's just $ White Rose KC. If you want to contribute monetarily to help us get some more resources out to our folks. And if you want to know how you can get more involved and where to take those things, send us a message and we'll give you an address of where to take it, because we believe in getting closer to the community and we don't need to be liaisons for you. We all are going to be in this together. So if you want to know how to help, hit me up and I'll tell you where we're going to meet so we can go meet some more Houseless comrades.
I'm Sheila. I'm with Free Hot Soup KC. You can look us up on Facebook. We don't do any monetary donations, but we do Amazon wish lists. There's plenty of ways to get involved. Come to a picnic, make friends, learn things about people, give a ride. Yeah.
When's the picnic?
There's picnics almost every day of the week. I think Thursday's like the only day, but Saturday and Sundays are big ones.
Okay.
That's me? Okay. What am I saying? I'm supposed to say. Okay, I'm Anton Washington. You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram. You can go to my website, creativeinnovative.org, and donate that way so you can be able to work collaboratively, you know what I'm saying, and give these supplies out here to our comrades out here in this rich frigid weather as well, as well as if you want to donate clothing materials, anything of that nature, you can reach out, send me an email. My email address is awashington@creativeinnovative.org, and I will definitely get you connected to someone who you can get the donations to.
Awesome. I'll echo what Kay said at the end, which is do better. Today's your day. Start. Find a place where you can donate. Look these organizations up online. Google them. It's the easiest thing you could possibly do. And then go drop off a coat that you've got hanging up in your
I
closet.
have a car full of
It's the easiest
supplies
thing.
if you just want to
Yeah.
go with me and follow me.
You can do it
be
today.
in training if you
Yeah,
want.
exactly. And to piggyback off of Sheila, it gives you a sense of connecting with the person, you know what I'm saying, and not only with the organization itself, but with the people that you will be encountering, and you can see firsthand on how this is affecting our city, you know what I'm saying, and how this is affecting them as a whole, and that they have a voice too, and that they once had a life that was taken from them, whether it's whatever circumstances that they was up under, whether it's by choice or whether it's by force. It doesn't matter. It is an issue that needs to be addressed. And going out here with individuals like Free Hot Soup KC, Black Rainbow, Creative Innovative Entrepreneurs, White Rose, with the Revolutionary Black Panther Party, and other organizations that work within the city, like KC Heroes, you can be able to make a difference in your community if you just come out and be a part of that community.
Exactly.
I would say Woody's KC has definitely been built over the past 4.5 years out of LGBTQA plus community. It is a safer space. It will always be a place, no matter what month, day, year, for anybody to ever drop off any supplies or donations that they need to donate, whether it be hygiene products, clothing, food, anything. We obviously have enough resources and friends that we can allocate or call someone and be like, hey, I got some stuff for you to pick up. So if anybody right now, especially during this time, holidays, maybe you got a bunch of new stuff for Christmas or holidays and you want to get rid of some old stuff, definitely come in, donate, things like that. This conversation was great. I want to thank everybody for coming today. I hope that we continue this conversation amongst ourselves and the viewers that are watching will continue this conversation. Below, I believe Sheila will probably slide over all the information to Wes about all the organizations, 26 organizations in the city that are housing and helping homeless or houseless humans. All the information will be there. If you have any other questions whatsoever, make sure that you comment in the link below. If we do not answer them today, we will get back to you and make sure that we will answer them on every single platform that we can.
Exactly.
I think what I really took away from today is something that me and Wes have done from the very beginning of this is making sure that we are not call out culture or cancel culture, but we are accountability queens and we are keeping city officials all the time.
Yeah.
Also make sure that talks with one another, and if you do have an opportunity to go out to any camps or run into any houseless individuals, humans, I would just encourage everybody to listen to them. Ask questions and shut the fuck up and listen. And do whatever you can at your parameters. And I know, we are such a technology-based networking like society that I feel like if you can't help someone, you definitely know somebody that can. So let's connect each other with each other, help each other, love one another, make sure that everybody keeps their masks on, stay safe, and thank you.
That's it. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was beautiful.